Hi everyone, thank you for checking out this developer playthrough for the game There's Always a Madman, Fight or Flight. I am the developer of this game. My name is Adam. This is what I hope to be the first in an ongoing series of games called There's Always a Madman. This being the first game, Fight or Flight. It's a comedic spy thriller game, so there'll be some serious parts to it, but also quite a lot of humor as we go along. I'm going to show you portion of the demo here. You'll see 2 chapters from the game. The full game has 11 chapters to it, and this demo contains 5 of 11 chapters from the full game. But I'm only going to show you 2 here just to wet your beak a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump in. Chapter 1. All Aboard. A good-looking man in a good-looking suit sits on a train holding a newspaper in front of his face. All these ordinary passengers around, and none of them know the great secret agent Franklin Benjamin sits quietly among them behind that newspaper. You take one hand off the newspaper and press that hand against your breast pocket. The item remains secure. Frank, the hard part is over. Now I just have to blend in. You turn your head slightly to the side, and looking out the window, you can see the Washington Monument across the water. Still in Virginia. You peel the corner of the newspaper down to gauge your surroundings. A burly man, also in a suit, is looking back at you. To your well-trained eye, he looks out of place. It's possible you've been made. What do you do? Alright, the very first choice in the entire game. Do we casually move to the next train car? Do we quickly move to the next train car? Let's move casually. You get up and tuck the newspaper under your arm as you walk away. You approach the door to the next train car. Do you look back to see if you were followed? Yeah, I'm just pressing enter to move along. You can also click the mouse if you'd like. Alright, so we're at the next train car. Do we look back to see if we were followed? Yes, let's take a quick peek. Not only is the burly man following you, but a second man is with him too. Get him! Now the music comes in. Feel the intensity. You drop the newspaper on the ground. Make a run for it. You reach the last door on the last train car and use your smartwatch to zap a box on the wall, opening up the door as the train continues rocketing down the track. The burly man and his lackey catch up to you, and you turn to face them. Meanwhile, the door next to you is wide open, and the wind is blowing through your magnificent hair. Hand over the thumb drive, Mr. Benjamin. Not gonna happen? Well, sure, here you go. Let's go. Sure, here you go. Reach into your pants pocket, take out a thumb drive. Toss the thumb drive over to the burly man, who catches it. The burly man examines the thumb drive for a second. He then drops it onto the ground and crushes it with the heel of his shoe. So much for the decoy thumb drive. Now give me the real one. Let's go with Over My Dead Body. Just what I was thinking. The burly man and his compatriot start advancing toward you. The time for diplomacy has passed. Better get out of there, and fast. You leap out the open train door beside you and plunge into the Potomac River. The Washington Monument overlooks the scene as steady and unmoved as ever. Back on the train, the burly man is visibly pissed. He turns to his compatriot and grabs him by the lapels. Go get him! In the water? I don't know how to... The burly man has a scowl on his face and rage in his eyes. He throws his compatriot off the train and into the water below. The secret agent got away, and more importantly, so did the thumb drive. There's always a madman. Fight or flight. Chapter 2. Briefing. The exterior of a nondescript building, headquarters of the Threat Prevention Unit, or TPU for short, at an undisclosed location in the greater Washington, D.C. area. Not Langley, Virginia, someplace else, in case that's what you were thinking. And now, Frank. There were not one, but two of them after me on the train. Two female colleagues, Virginia and Hatcher, were listening to Frank's story. It was a tough spot. I mean, what was I going to do? Start shooting on a crowded subway car? So I did the only thing I could do. I ran. And then I jumped right off a moving train and straight into the Potomac River. Sometimes the best move is to fight. Other times it's enough to simply escape. Who speaks up? Either the tech specialist Hatcher says, classic, or fellow field agent Virginia says, typical. Let's go with Hatcher. Classic. An older gentleman who walks with a cane enters the room. Yes, well done, Frank. Congrats on doing your job. I believe the president will throw a parade in your honor next week. How does that sound, Frank? Finally, I guess the 303rd time saving the world's the charm. Or, I know you're joking, but there should be a parade. Let's go with, I know you're joking, but there should be a parade. Yes, well, that's not really how this job works, I'm afraid. We wouldn't be much of a clandestine organization if we were openly celebrating our victories with parades, now would we? And unfortunately, the current situation does not appear to be resolved anyway. Although we now have a better idea of what the Shadow Man's plan is thanks to the schematics on the thumb drive you ripped off, our actions have had unforeseen consequences. With these new satellites the Shadow Man is building, he can shoot down all existing satellites and get a monopoly on low Earth orbit. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. The man who chased you on the train, the one you described as a burly man in a suit, is none other than Brutus, the Shadow Man's top henchman. Because you were spotted and nearly captured by Brutus, the Shadow Man knows we're onto him and has gone running to an ally for assistance. Perhaps he's after an influx of capital, or maybe he wants some money to double down on security. Whatever the reason, it's not good for us. That brings us to the new player at the table, Vladimir. Thanks to Virginia's fine work, she wasn't spotted in her mission. We know when and where the Shadow Man will be meeting with Vlad. It will be going down at a casino. But here's the twist. Your mission, Frank, is not to apprehend the Shadow Man. No, your primary objective is to break into Vlad's hotel room and acquire a list of his clients. I see. Why stop just one person? You can take down an entire network of crooks, says Virginia. Exactly. Hey, Frank, you paying attention? What was I just droning on about, Franklin? The fate of the world hangs in the balance. Or, it's up to us to save the world. Let's go, the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Lucky guess. I mean, it's the same speech every time. I think it's drilled into my head by now. Stop the madman and save the world. Why should this time be any different? Alright, hotshot. Pop quiz. Let's see if you really were paying attention. What is the primary mission objective? Either prevent the launch of the Shadowman satellites, or acquire Vladimir's client list. Well, unlike Frank, I definitely was paying attention, so I know it is acquire Vladimir's client list, so that's what I'm going to go with. But when you play, you can give a different answer, if you'd like. Correct. So far, so good. And what's the name of the guy who is chasing you on the train? Either Brutus or Julius Caesar. Well, his name was Brutus, so I'll go with Brutus. Yes, be careful with him. He'll stab you in the back if given even half a chance. Now for a tough question. What mission parameter do you predict I'm about to give next? Either minimize civilian casualties, or don't get caught. I'm going to say minimize civilian casualties. Minimize? There should be 0 civilian casualties. Alright, wise guy. The mission parameter I was about to give is this. It's a casino, so don't go losing all your money. You'll be playing with taxpayer dollars. Now for our final question, and it's the pivotal one. The one you know I have to ask every time. Do you accept this mission? Now when you play, and you want to play through the game, select the always option. But for the purpose of this demo, right here I'm doing for you guys watching, I'm going to select not this time, and we will see how that plays out. So, do you accept this mission? Not this time. Okay, you certainly have the right to decline the mission. I'll put someone else on it then. That was the moment that doomed us all. Mr. Samuel did indeed give the job to one of his other agents, but none of them are as capable as Frank, or work as well with Virginia. In the end, the Shadow Man won and gained control of Earth's atmosphere. He destroyed all other satellites in existence as a show of strength, and he then proceeded to hold the world ransom with his satellites, for which we had no defense. The world plunged into chaos without GPS, satellite TV, and all the modern-day conveniences we have become accustomed to because of satellites. And with technology regressing, society collapsed entirely. People rioted, and governments were powerless to stop any of it. With all that has transpired since that one decision, Frank has become a shell of his former self, and he's now a run-down wino in a disheveled suit living on the street. Beside him is a cup for panhandling and a handwritten sign that reads, "Sorry for not saving the world." Thank you for playing There's Always a Madman, Fight or Flight. As they say, one decision can make all the difference in the world, and your choice to decline the mission has resulted in receiving the flight ending to the game, where the satellites actually took flight and led to ruin. Perhaps in some other world, Frank chose to fight, and that different decision saved us all. And that brings us to the flight ending of There's Always a Madman, Fight or Flight. I always wanted to make a game where you are the spy, where you decide what actions to take and what quips to make. This is that game. As you can see, the fate of the world rests on your shoulders. Because there's always a madman, and you're the best agent we've got, Franklin Benjamin. Please wishlist the game on Steam. Please purchase it when it comes out March 2024. And there will also be a Kickstarter campaign October 9th, 2023. Thank you so much for watching. Hope the world is safe in your hands.